evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Spearfish High School Fine Arts Committee, we would like to welcome you to our 10th annual Fine Arts Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Before we continue, we'd like to recognize some past recipients for this award. I'd like to have them stand, please. Louis Smeltzer, Paul Higby, and on behalf of Beth Dean, her mom, Sandra Dean. And if I have failed to recognize any, would you also please stand? Thank you. We have a nice round of applause. At the conclusion of the program this evening, we encourage you to look at the back of the auditorium, and all the recipients' plaques are back there for the previous winners, including this year's recipients, and a biographical sketch of what they have done to earn this honor. And continuing, following the Spearfish High School Fine Arts Hall of Fame procedures, I'll just turn it off. 2 nominees were selected to receive this award this evening. In your program, you will note who they are and their contributions to the fine arts. Each of our new inductees or a representative for them will be introduced and will speak on their behalf. We will now introduce to you this year's honorees.
Our first inductee tonight is George Fassbender. George attended Spearfish High School from 1947 to 1951. Here to accept his award is his grandniece, Julianne Zoller.
I'm going to try my best teacher voice. I'd like my family to stand up over here. I don't know if you'll be able to see my grandmother. She's tiny in there, but she is George's older sister. And of course, we have to have Ed stand up because Ed is George's truest friend on the planet. And thank you, Ed, for taking care of George. We appreciate it. To thank the Fine Arts Committee for selecting George. Sometimes he was overshadowed by his father's legacy, but because of George, that legacy is saved and preserved for all of our communities to enjoy and utilize for generations. We can't forget that George had his own artisticness. He was basically born into the business of photography. My grandma tells me about age 7, he was processing and developing film for his dad, which those of you students who are taking black and white photography, that's quite a challenge for a high schooler, let alone a 7-year-old. But George, he also had some formal training with the Army, and very much so wanted to take his career onto bigger and better things that would include things like National Geographic. We really appreciate George and how he cared for the community and took pictures and saved them for all of us to enjoy. So, thank you very much.
Our next inductee is Megan Swisher Sand. Megan attended Spearfish High School from 1994 to 1998.
Good evening, and thank you so much for the honor of being inducted into the Spearfish High School Fine Arts Hall of Fame. Looking at the people who have been inducted before me, I am truly humbled. I'm sorry I could not be there this evening to join you. I would like to first thank my dear sister Kaya for the thoughtful nomination. I would like to thank the board for choosing me. I am proud of my roots in Spearfish, and this is a true honor for me. I would like to thank all my teachers I had here in Spearfish. Thank you for your time and sacrifice. I would like to thank my teacher, mentor, and friend, Richard Papineau at Oregon State University. I would like to thank my children, Jefferson, Cora, and Lowell, and also my husband, Kirby, for their continued support of all my endeavors and crazy schedule. I would also like to thank God for all the blessings in my life, one of which is my family, especially my parents and my siblings who love me and who have always supported me. One thing I hear from my students all the time is, well, I started singing when I was, and they give me an age, and I always think if I made a statement like that, I would have to say that I started singing when I was born. Music has always been a part of my life and was valued by my family, including my grandparents and beyond on both sides. I now know how special that is and how blessed I am to have had that exposure and also to have had music in Spearfish as a part of my education. From Doug Bruno teaching us first graders to play the bells, to Marilee Woodard dealing with an impossibly large 8th grade choir with hooligans like my now husband in the mix, to Doug Simon trying to get those clarinets in tune, and to Sharon Google, whose love of music just inspired us to sing out and love it. My parents and the community in which I grew up inspired me to have an appreciation for the value of learning about many things, whether it was in science, engineering, math, music, art, theater, literature, language. The list is endless. I want to thank my parents for allowing their children to thrive in the world the way that they were, and for loving them no matter what they did or how they did in their pursuits of everything. They knew it was about more than just what we did. They knew it was about developing attitudes and values. They encouraged us to work hard, to be kind, to be grateful, and to always learn something. When I was younger, I think possibly while in Mrs. Woodard's class in middle school, I made the statement, "There are two things I will never do as a career, music and teaching." Pretty funny now. I think what I realized even then was just how much work it seemed to be, how it must just be a thankless job and how hard it was. And I didn't want anything to do with it. I thought I'd better do something more safe. Even though I was surrounded by support of the arts in my own little world, I still thought that I had better go into something that was seemingly more valued in society. But as time went on, I realized what I could offer people through teaching music, singing particularly, and that all the other stuff just didn't matter. I fell in love with watching people accomplish something that was completely their own. I watch them respond to emotion. I see them develop confidence. I ask them to expect more from themselves, and I see and hear them communicate something through their singing. I then see them develop those things in their own personal lives. I see firsthand almost daily people finding acceptance of themselves and others and developing empathy. And frankly, I think that if we have more people like that out in the world, no matter what they do, it will be better. Sometimes teaching music is tough. Administrations don't value your art. It is treated as an extracurricular. Trying to make a living can be tough as an artist and teacher. But when I teach and I see what it does for people, it is always, always worth it. Art is often overlooked and thrown away as just some hobby some people have. But I believe that music, dance, and other arts allow us to communicate to each other and allow us to find what we have in common more than almost anything in existence. We communicate emotion through art. We say something and people respond to it. We find what is truly human in each of us. I hope that each of you here today keep art as a part of your life. You are already doing something by being here. The things people discover about themselves and others when they are exposed to art or study art are invaluable. So I truly hope your participation as an artist, and maybe even more importantly, as a supporter of the arts, will continue, and that you will pass it on to generations to come. Thank you again to the SHS Fine Arts Hall of Fame. I am so honored. Have a wonderful evening.